Welcome to this week's GV Bounce. I'm Marc McGowan.
I'm Hannah Driscoll.
And we're going to take you through round 15 of the Golden Valley Football League. It's getting to the business end, Hannah.
It is only 4 rounds left to play. Of course, we've got an extra week, next week being a split round. But yeah, edging closer and closer, and the final position starting to sort of lock into place. But yeah, still a bit of room to move for a couple of teams.
Yeah, it certainly is. We'll start off with probably the match of the round, Benalla and Tatura. I'm really looking forward to this one. Tatura, now, Scott Grigg tells me they're not looking for revenge, but I'd say they'd be pretty keen to get one back.
Yeah, this was a huge win to Benalla back in round 4. This was probably the one where everyone's sort of gone, okay, actually will be a chance this season, really announce themselves. They've done very well since then. Tatura still missing a couple of players though. Yeah,
Paul Kirby's not back. He's already missed the last 3 games with that leg infection, and before that he played in the Victoria Country game. But Scott Grigg told me during the week that look, he doesn't want to take any risks, so especially with being an older guy, that sort of thing. And Curbs, he knows, is going to perform. You know, you'll get him back a couple of games before the finals. He has the break coming up, so they want to make sure he's 100%. But you never know. You never know. We've seen this before, Hannah, where they don't get named and then suddenly they're in the team. But they do welcome back Tom Sullivan, who was a late out last week, so he's obviously a gun. We all know about how good he is, played interleague and that sort of thing. Yep. So, but the ins for Benalla are probably the real keys, aren't they?
They certainly are. We've got 3 bigs coming back in.
We've got obviously Will Martinello from the VFL, and Will Sullivan as well. So they're massive ins. I mean, Will hasn't played for years at Benalla because he's been down at the VFL going really well, but look, he's great into the midfield and really makes that battle in there look really good. So it'll be interesting. You wanted to tip Benalla on that?
I did. I've sort of gone with Benalla a couple of times this season. They've proved me right. But this week went with Tatura. But we'll see how we go. I wouldn't be surprised if Benalla get up on Saturday. Hopefully it's a good contest.
Yeah, and the next game, Echuca and Shepparton United. Now, probably before we get into the game, as we've seen during the week, Cameron Stewart won't be continuing next year, the same as Tim Little out at Shepparton. Yep. What did you make of all that?
Interesting result. I had a chat to Cameron last week after their loss, and he was saying that they would start. He was expecting to hear in the next couple of weeks the decision. The committee's then had a meeting on Tuesday night where they've decided that he will not be reappointed next year. So he was very disappointed about that decision. Didn't want to comment any further, and they've also had their reserves and under-18s coach say they won't be seeking reappointment, at least until a senior coach is in place. So then they can. The senior coach can then have a role in picking who his lieutenants are going to be at the club. I'm
really looking forward to hearing when Cameron does open up, because he's a pretty straight shooter, so I'd say the disappointment's probably overshadowed that for the moment, but I reckon at some stage he'll talk. And as I said, straight shooter, so you never know what can come out of his mouth. But look, he's had 2 years there. He's turned to the development side of things. He's obviously didn't have a lot of talent to work with, except for a few at the top end. But look, it's disappointing for him, but in the end they only won 1 game this year, and you can't shy away from that.
Yeah.
So what about the game itself? United's been a bit up and down. Obviously, Echuca's only had 1 game, 1 win. Look, it's a tough one for Echuca, but United, you never know.
Yeah, United, very up and down, especially the last month. We sort of thought they'd turned the corner with that win 2 weeks ago against Tatura. And then last week they came out with another draw. They're second for the season. So that's going to really probably impact on their ability to climb higher. The further we progress on, it's looking more and more likely that it'll be a Roche United playoff in the elimination final.
It'd be a huge shock to see one of them out, wouldn't it?
It would be a massive disappointment, I think, for both sides, because they were both looking so good with their lists early on in the season. Echuca's obviously got more bad news. They've lost Jordan Florence to an ankle injury, possibly for the season, it's looking like.
Reece Archard as well.
Reece Archard came back and played in his friend Prendergast's 200th last week. Cameron Stewart said it was probably the first time in his career he's allowed a player to not play at quite 100% fit, because he was so keen to play in his friend's milestone. Unfortunately, the calf injury that he had still remains, and he also received a corked thigh, so he hasn't been named in the side for this week.
Yeah, fair enough. And over to the other really intriguing game. You touched on the finals race at the start of the program, but Seymour and the Shep Swans. Now, we keep saying the Swans, one last chance. This is definitely the last chance. They have to win this one or it's all over.
Pretty much. And it would be a huge thing if the Swans win and Marupna lose. That would blow the race wide open. But yeah, Swans the last 3 weeks, heartbreaking stuff for them. They've been so close. Could have won them all and been right up there in finals contention, but instead they're going to battle to get there at this stage.
Yeah, look, and if the Swans lose, they fall 3 games behind Seymour, so that's it. No more coming back from there with only 3 games to go. So very interesting game. Our colleague Damon France will be heading out to that one. I know he's very, very keen to see that one. But on to the next one, Mansfield against Kai Abram.
Yes.
Now, Kai's at home, but Mansfield's suddenly in great form. No one's in better form than the Bombers, but Mansfield could be a sneaky chance.
They could be. They've sort of hit their straps. They will probably forever rue the start to their season, the way that they're going at the moment. But yeah, they could pose the threat to Kai Abram, and Dave Williams was definitely acknowledged that.
Well, anytime you've got a guy like Josh Fraser up forward, massive guy, 202 centimetres, he's kicked 54 goals. I mean, he's going to cause anyone problems. I know I watched this game actually up in Mansfield earlier in the year, and they basically double, triple teamed him, and they had to because he's a big man. He's very, very hard to stop. But look, you can't see Kai Abram losing, but Mansfield, nothing to lose at this stage. They're just going out there hoping for the best. So you never know, and Kai Abram might be due for a downer. So can you see an upset at all?
No, I'll stick with the Bombers at this stage. Like, what are they up to? 12 straight?
13 straight.
13 straight at this stage. I think I'll stick with that run of form.
Fair enough. I'm not.
But look, that battle between Morgan and Fraser, if it comes around tomorrow, that's going to be a big one to watch and probably play a key role in who wins this game. Yeah,
without a doubt. Second last game of the round, Rochester against Shepparton, a bit of a lopsided one. Shepparton's still chasing their first win. Rochester really starting to get to their best form now, and you just look at them on paper and it's just really ominous. They look like they're a side that could win the premiership. They can get it all together. They haven't risked Ash Watson this week, preferring to give him another week. But as we probably discussed off air, I mean, look, they've probably got too much talent anyway. It's probably better for them to let him sit out for another week.
Yeah, well, they've got the break next week with this split round, and they've got a run home that includes Tatura and Kai Abram, and also the rivalry against Echuca, so that's going to be a huge one for them to finish the season. So, might as well give him 2 weeks off and try and get him right for finals. That would be, probably a smart idea. Another big news coming out of Shepparton this week with Tim Little, another coach, looking like he won't be continuing on next year. You had talked to a couple of players at the guys at the club.
Yeah,
what did you have to say?
Matt, another of our colleagues, had a chat with Tim. He previewed that game, so we had a chat with Tim, and didn't say a great deal, but he's obviously disappointed. It's only his first year at the helm, and he basically presented his blueprint for the future, and Shepparton probably didn't agree with the way he wanted to go. So they've declared sort of publicly that it was a mutual parting of the ways. You can probably see it either way. It could be a sacking, it could be just a mutual. But look, in the end, he's not going to be there. Regardless of how you look at it, he's not going to be there. They haven't won a game. It's a really disappointing start to his coaching career. Hopefully it's not the end. Hopefully he gets another chance somewhere else. Yes. But look, Shepparton at this stage, as Tim said in the paper today, it's really just about trying to get development out of the players. At this stage, they're not going to play in finals. They're not going to move really any further up the ladder, so they've got to look to next year. And they have blooded a lot of young guys, and Ash Holland's been in really good form in recent weeks, so hopefully you get some little positives like that. Yeah,
no, absolutely. But they will be disappointed with this season, but our commiserations to Tim, and best of luck for him for the future, along with Cameron Stewart as well. Yeah, definitely. And last game of the round, Mooroopna Euroa. I headed out to this one. I did the double header last time, started in Mansfield and then headed over to Euroa to watch Mooroopna and Euroa, and it was a bitterly cold night that night, but this time I won't be watching them. But look, Mooroopna, as you've touched on multiple times here, they're chasing their finals life at the moment. They need to keep winning. They can't afford to probably drop another one, really, and they certainly can't afford to lose to Euroa. No disrespect to the Magpies, but these are the games they have to win. If you're playing finals, you've got to beat a side like Euroa that isn't in that mix. So, look, they beat them comfortably last night, and they should probably do it again. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if they've got to face teams like Shep United, the Swans. They've got Shepparton as well in there. But they've got to make up a game somewhere. We can't forget that. Like, it's not just a matter of them winning. They've got to win an extra game. Well, that's where they're hoping the Swans beat Seymour. Yeah, really exactly. Hoping the Swans beat Seymour. So this is the first one. If they get over this one, their hopes continue. They don't, suddenly it looks very difficult. But they did win comfortably against Euroa the last time. Euroa, of course, though, adding a couple of players in there from the last time they played, so it might be a bit closer contest this time around. But with finals on the line, you have to tip the Cats. Well, I certainly hope Maroon does win, because I want to see this race sort of continue to heat up over the next few weeks. Otherwise, it could be. Of course, we do. That could be the end of it if they lose, unfortunately. But look, that then just brings us to an end this week. Look, I'm really looking forward to the last few rounds, Hannah, particularly this round as well. So make sure you get out and have a look, and we'll see you out there.